And now it's time for a little cheese and Packers. No actual cheese, I ate it all, we're out. But we do have Kelly Price and Michael Cohen here, Mike of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Mike, let's start with the beginning of today's game. Really aggressive play calling from Coach McCarthy. They had the fake punt, which you don't see a lot of. They went for it on fourth. It seemed like they knew they needed to get this game.
Yeah, I think McCarthy knows how important the first drive is for the Packers. Him and Rodgers often talk about if they can score on the first drive, it tends to set up the rest of the half well, at least moving into the third and fourth quarter. And I think that when you make that sort of a statement with your quarterback being Brett Hundley, a guy that's not, the world of confidence the way Rodgers has, I think that it sort of shows him, look, we're going to give you a chance to try and win this game because we believe in you. And so the fake punt with Jermaine Whitehead curling around the corner, and then the quick pass to Randall Cobb that picked up the other fourth down. I think it showed right away they wanted points, and that's what they got. The 7th time this year they've opened the game with a touchdown.
And the Packers now, for the first time in franchise history, have won back-to-back overtime games. In those games, Brett Hundley hasn't overly impressed overall, but he obviously has come clutch in those very end-of-the-game situations. What does this mean for him going forward and what his role on the team is? Well,
it's really interesting because there's one scenario in which Hundley has played his last snap for the Green Bay Packers, because there's a lot of people that think that if there is any trade value for him, that move would come before the start of next season. Now, I don't know if the Packers are interested in that. They may have seen enough from Hundley to where they want him to be the backup quarterback going into next season, but next year would be the last year on his contract. In terms of his performance overall, I think it's as widespread as we've seen. I mean, you look at what he did against Tampa, and he missed every open receiver there was. And then you look today, and he played really well, and they found ways for him to be successful. And so I think that he is a mixed bag right now, and that's sort of what you're going to get week to week. But the thing that they have to love is the fourth quarters, as you mentioned. He's been really clutch for them when they've needed it, and he did what they needed. They got 3 wins without Rodgers.
Now, one of the things that we don't know for sure, because Coach hasn't said anything, wouldn't talk about it in the press conference, we don't yet know the status of Aaron Rodgers, but it is assumed by most people that he's going to be back for this game going into Carolina. Even with Rodgers, though, this is no gimme game for them. What do you see out of Carolina and how they match up?
Well, they just beat the Vikings earlier today, and everybody knows the Vikings are one of the best teams in the NFC. And so I think that when you look at Carolina, it's a team that obviously is led by its defense. They're probably the 2nd best defense in the league, up there with Minnesota, Seattle. And so I think it's going to be a big challenge in that regard. The other thing that's interesting about Carolina is that they present a real threat with the mobile quarterback in Cam Newton, and a different kind of threat because he's the one that can break the tackles, that can bruise you physically. And so it's a game where not only are they going to have trouble potentially moving the ball against that Carolina defense, but it's also one where everyone on the Packers defense has to be gang tackling against somebody as big and strong as Cam Newton.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us here on Cheese and Packers. We'll be back after the break where Kelly's going to be talking about what happened in the division today, and some of that news wasn't great for Green Bay. We'll see you after that.